Greetings everyone. You're watching the channel Aviation Obsession. Have you ever wondered why some planes, despite big expectations, just don't take off in the market? Well, today's your lucky day because in this video we'll explore the least popular Airbus and Boeing planes. But hang on, we're not going too far back in time, just to the 1980s. We'll zoom in on those variants that barely cracked 40 orders. Yep, there were a few underdogs even before that, but we'll save those stories for another time. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for future videos. Without further ado, let's get started. Let's kick things off with the Airbus A330-200F. This bird had a tough time in sales, with only 38 units produced. It's interesting because its passenger version started flying in 1998, a bit later than its sibling, the A330-300. The freighter version, however, had to wait over a decade to hit the runways, making its debut in 2010. So, you might wonder why it didn't soar in popularity. One theory is that it was a bit of a heavyweight for short hops and fell short on range for long journeys. To put it in perspective, Boeing 767-300F, its closest competitor, outshone it in terms of orders, boasting a hefty 280 under its belt. The Airbus freighter could carry up to 61 tons of cargo, with a maximum takeoff weight of 233 tons and a range of about 4,000 nautical miles. In contrast, the Boeing counterpart could handle around 52.7 tons, with a takeoff weight of 185 tons and a range of about 3,225 nautical miles. That's where this Airbus freighter faced some turbulence. Just for reference, the bigger Boeing 777F could stretch its wings and cover around 4,880 nautical miles. So, while the A330-200F was a solid jet, it just couldn't compete when it came to those long-haul missions. But hey, every plane has its niche. Now, let's fast forward a bit. Boeing 767-400ER, a stretched version of the -300ER, entered the scene in the early 2000s. This big fella was about 21 feet longer than its sibling and had wings that stretched about 14 feet more. But here's the plot twist, it didn't perform as well in the sales department. Why? Well, Airbus beat Boeing to the punch with the A330-200, which was in service 3 years earlier, in 1998. This Airbus widebody was pretty similar in size but had a bit more room inside and could fly a bit farther. Boeing did try to extend the range with the 767-400ERX, but that project eventually got the axe. Sometimes, timing can really shake things up in the aviation world. Speaking of Boeing 767-400ER orders, Boeing initially had high hopes for this variant, with around 59 orders. However, reality had different plans, with many orders being cancelled or swapped. Eventually, only 37 of these planes were produced and found homes with three major customers: Delta Air Lines, Continental Airlines, and United Airlines. Today, after a series of mergers, there are just two operators left: Delta, with 21 of these planes, and United, with 16. But here's the intriguing part: one unique jet, originally a military testbed known as the E-10A prototype, took on a new role as a VIP transport and remains active, now serving with the Bahrain Royal Flight. Quite the journey, isn't it? Now, let's talk about a couple of A340 variants, and I've got to say, they didn't exactly steal the spotlight. We're looking at the A340-200 and -500. The A340-200 had just 28 units built, and one of the big issues was that it was kind of heavy for the number of passengers it could carry. It entered service in 1993 but had to compete with Boeing's 777-200, which was a bit of an economic powerhouse. You see, the Boeing twinjet could handle more passengers and had better economics. Airlines just couldn't resist it. Then there's the A340-500, which managed to secure orders for only 34 planes. It could hold a maximum of 440 passengers and was designed for ultra-long-range flights. But, guess what? Boeing's twin-engine 777-200LR came along and outperformed it in terms of economics while still carrying the same passenger load. Emirates and Singapore Airlines had a go with the -500, but both of these aircraft, well, they kind of entered the scene just as they were becoming, let's say, obsolete. Let's shift our focus to two unique 737-700 variants. The C and -700C stands for convertible, and these 22 aircraft could quickly change their interiors to suit various needs. The US Navy led the charge with 17 orders, even though this variant was available to commercial airlines. Then there's the 737-700ER. Now, this one's intriguing. It wasn't officially listed as a separate variant in Boeing's records, but it caught the attention of Japan's All Nippon Airways in 2006. ANA wanted some extra range, so they beefed up this -700 with extra fuel tanks and some modified wings. The result? A nearly doubled range of 5,400 nautical miles. Only 2 of these unique birds were ever produced. ANA put them to work on special premium routes between Tokyo and Mumbai. Quite the niche, wouldn't you say? It's time for the Queen of the Skies, specifically the Boeing 747-400. It's an icon, but it had 2 lesser-known variants. The -400D, designed for short-haul, high-density routes in Japan, had room for up to a whopping 660 passengers in a single class. To fit them all in, they removed the upper deck galley and skipped the winglets, as those fuel savings wouldn't matter on these short trips. Japan Airlines and ANA were the 2 takers for this aircraft. On the flip side, we've got the -400ER. This one's a long-haul champ, designed to fulfill Qantas' dreams of an extended-range jumbo jet. It sported an extra fuel tank in the cargo hold, a tougher frame, and bigger tires to handle the weight. Quite the unique bird. And guess what? Qantas was the one and only airline to go for it, with just 6 of these extended-range giants ever taking flight. Now, let's talk about the Airbus A330-800, the underdog of the latest generation. It's not been a hit so far, with just 11 orders. Spread across 4 airlines, Kuwait Airways, Uganda Airlines, Air Greenland, and Garuda Indonesia, it struggled to find its footing. But the situation is a bit tricky. Garuda Indonesia is facing financial trouble and hasn't taken delivery of its 4 orders, leaving the plane's future uncertain. Despite its potential as a more efficient A330-200 variant with commonality with the -900, it faces challenges. Some find it has excessive range, and the -900's lower cost per seat and competition from the Boeing 787 have hindered its success. Finally, there's an odd one out that you could call the winner, the Boeing 757-200M. That M at the end means it's a combi, which is a fancy way of saying it can carry both passengers and cargo. This plane had a big cargo door on the left side, and Nepal Airlines was the only one who ordered it way back in 1986. It's retired now, but it did its unique job well. Its bigger brother, the 747-400M, did a bit better, with over 60 orders before it retired in 2018. Right now, it's headed to CSDS aircraft sales and leasing in the United States. To wrap things up, there are some more planes that didn't quite soar in terms of sales. It's a bit tricky to draw the line, but let's give an honorable mention to a few. These include the A319neo with 91 orders, the A318 with 81 orders, and the regular 737-900 with 52 orders. Additionally, there were 61 orders for the 777-200LR and 60 for the non-extended range 777-300. Lastly, only 48 units of the last passenger version of the jumbo jet were produced. Now, here's a question for you. Which of these planes is your favorite, and which do you think should have done better in terms of sales? Drop us a comment and let's chat. Thanks a million for tuning in. If you found this video as fascinating as we did, don't be shy, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe. And hey, if you've got some cool topics in mind for our next video, drop them in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you.